Hello Year 5 and welcome to Tuesday's writing tutorial for all groups. Today we are looking at can I understand the key parts to a story. So in the past we have looked at this story mountain. We have seen that there are 5 main parts to our story. We start off with an opening. This opening then becomes the build-up. We're then at the top of our mountain with a climax. We then have a resolution and an ending. So within our opening, you'll remember that we have a lot of description. We are describing the scene, the setting, the people, the places, and introducing our characters. We then move into our build-up section. And again, here there's a lot of description, and you start to send your character or characters on an adventure. We then get to the climax, and at the climax of your story, something bad happens. There is, here it uses the phrase, a major dilemma. When we're at this point, your character then will start to resolve and come down the mountain. So we'll think of ways in which to solve this problem, and we'll do so, and then you will finish your story with an ending. What was the result of this action? Or resolution, what happens next? And then sometimes, once you've had, if you're writing a whole book, you might have the process repeat itself. So you end, and then there might be another build-up, another climax, and another resolution. Or alternatively, you might have a climax, a resolution, then another problem, so another climax, then another resolution, a bit more of a build-up, and then an ending. So story mountains are really, really useful for us to follow in our narratives. So your first task is to pick one of the 6 trials that you looked at yesterday. And you are going to complete a diagnostic of what actually happens in that trial at each of the parts of our story mountain. So I am going to pick for mine to model to you the trial of the Nemean lion. So I've got in front of me my notes from the lesson yesterday, and I see sort of the notes that I've taken. And in the opening, what happens? Well, we were introduced to Hercules. And the king gave a trial. Sort of my first part. What happened next in the build-up? What happened next? Well, he went to the cave. And then he tried to kill the creature. Now I've missed quite a lot of detail in here because I've done my boxes quite small, but you could put things in that he gave him a trial to kill the animal or kill the lion because it was attacking animals and people. He was sent to hunt and kill. So the climax, well, he shot it and he couldn't pierce the skin. So he couldn't. He couldn't kill it. So what happened next? He remembered talking to the farmers. And the farmers gave him advice. So use advice to trap the lion and then he managed to kill it. And then at the end, he returned to the king to get next trial. And most importantly, he wore the skin as armour. So that is me modelling your first task for you. You have a choice of 6 trials and you are going to pick which one you would like to pull apart and look at what happens in each of the main sections of the story mountain. Once you've done that, your next task is to create a comic strip of that trial. So, you've got your 5 here. I've given you 6 boxes so you can go into extra detail for something. So once again, it's about pushing yourself to do a really, really good job here. So I'm starting off, I do my sentences first. Hercules met the king and was tasked to kill a lion. Now obviously I'm writing on a small graphics tablet and trying to write on a screen. You will be able to write a lot neater. So once you've chosen your 6 main events, it's then a case of you drawing what you think's happened. And you know, you might want to use a sort of comic booky style. So I'm going to draw a throne. My throne's going to be quite big. You know, again, it's not about your artwork being perfect. It might be quite impressionistic, but it's about trying our best rather than just drawing stick men because it's easier. Really push yourself. Oh. So I've got my king here on his throne, and he's talking to Hercules. So instead of doing Hercules' face, I'm going to do the back of Hercules' head. I envisage him having quite long, browny black hair. You know, this lesson is 45 minutes long, so it's important that we take our time, that we're not rushing. So there's the back of his head, and then I picture him being in sort of a lapel or a sort of a tabard rather than anything else. So I'm going to draw sort of a body before going over it. I think it's probably leather. So it sort of covers his torso but leaves his shoulders exposed. And then the king might be looking quite regal in red. Sort of a darker trouser. Again, it's just about doing whatever we are able to do within the confines. So obviously I could spend some more time, but Hercules met the king and was tasked to kill a lion. Then I might draw a thought bubble of the king. And then draw a lion's head. Within this space. Okay, so you have got a choice of 6 main trials. You don't have to do this one by any means, but pick one of them that you think is the most interesting, because if you pick the one you think is going to be most interesting, then you are more than likely to attempt to create a better comic strip. Go back to the pencil. Yeah. So he's thinking and talking about the male lion. What's your task today? Activity 1, to storyboard the events based on the story Mountain, and then using that information to create a comic strip for one of the trials. I'm extremely excited about seeing what you come up with, and I will catch you all on the next tutorial.